Welcome to Let's Roger That, everybody. I'm Gilles. In this episode, I decided to make an ER32 holder for round stock that I intend to machine using, whether it be dividing heads on my surface grinder, in my lathe, or whatnot. So there's going to be a whole series of episodes that pertain to ER32 holders. For holding the different colors in the ER32. This is the nut for those holders. And I think that you're going to find some of the things that I'm going to build interesting. So with no further ado, let's get started. All right, let's cut some 12L14. Okay, so I've taken my piece of 12L14, I've cut it at a length of 3.5 inches, and just to make sure that everything is nice and even, I measured it, and it's all within 5/10 of 1/1000 of an inch from 2 inches. So that's pretty nice. Of course, that's stoned. And so now what I can do is when I set this up in my lathe, everything should turn out to be nice and even. And if it's not, then I've got to adjust the chuck. So that's where we're going to go next. I've marked the center, taken my height gauge, used my started punch, and looked at it under a microscope, make sure that everything was nice and centered. So let's move on. Time to face the first side. Okay, it's time to face the other side. The next part, I need to get ready for what will become the threads. So that distance is from here to here, and then there's going to be an undercut, to allow me to exit from the threading operation. Now in my case, I'm not going to make the threads using a threading tool. I'm going to actually use a die, an M40 by 1.5 pitch. And if you want to see, I actually made a tool on that. I have one video out there with that. So that's what I'm planning on doing. So now I'm going to bring this down here to 40 millimeters, right? And then from there, You know, I'll take it all the way back to here at 40 millimeters, and then I'll do the undercut afterwards. So that's the next step. And then after that, we're going to do threads, and then we'll do some drilling operation through, which will be 1 inch all the way through this 3.5 inch piece of steel. Okay, so now I've got it down. So I'm going to measure the diameter in millimeters so that I know how far I've got to go to 40 millimeters. I've got my Mitutoyo caliper set to millimeters. 10.7 millimeters to go. I'll convert that into imperial to 1.574. Okay, so with 422 thousandths to go, now I'm going to increase the speed on my spindle, now that I don't have interrupted cuts. So we'll take it out of bad gears. So in fourth gear I'll be going 270 RPM. There we go. Cuts at 50 thousandths. Extra 70 thousandths. Take a measurement. Switch this thing back to millimeters. It's not too hot. There. 40.04 works for me. All right. Now we need to do an undercut. So change tool. Almost there already. I said 79 thousandths. Coming up to it. Well, as soon as it stops making chip, then we're good to go. For me. Alright. Just like that. Now the other thing we need to do is need to chamfer the end to give my tap or my die a chance to grab on. So let's do that. Just make a little chamfer at the end. that's set up for making threads. Alright, I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, so let's have a go and see what happens. So first of all, put a little bit of oil on here, cutting oil. Let's get a good start. Let's tighten this up a touch. Just a matter of getting started here. There it comes. Okay, now I can remove the tailstock. There we go. Now left, because I started with 40 mils diameter, the idea is to make these as tight as possible, because you can always make them looser later. This is pretty tough actually. Good thing it's soft metal. Now I've got my my spindle on bad gears, so it's locked. Thank goodness. This is quite a workout. So let's clear some chips here. Put some more oil. No sense struggling. Alright. That should help a bit. I've never tried a die this big, but you know, like others have told me, I could have used my imperial lathe to my south bend to cut metric threads. As long as you don't go past an inch in length, you'll get appropriate results. But I wasn't, at the time, I wasn't willing or comfortable to do that, so that's why I chose to buy that M40 die. As you can tell, you can hear me grunting. I know I am a little bit chubby, so maybe that's why. Yeah, pretty well at the end of it anyway, so. Let's have a look at these suckers. Very nice. Look at these beautiful threads. So that's nice. Let's try the ER32 nut and see what happens. Might as well clean that up first. Brushing my hand. Alright. The old man's puffing today. Wow, perfect fit. Yeah, this is really good. Okay, so that's a good start. Now it's a matter of drilling my holes right through. Let's set up for that. Because as you can see here, I'm a little bit overcautious when I do this kind of thing, because here concentricity is pretty important, of course. So I've taken a center square and made a mark. You know, I made several marks to find the actual center. Now I'm going to use a center drill, and I'm going to make just a peck, and I'm going to reevaluate to make sure that I'm in the center. So let's do that. Okay, here we go. There it is. And I'm just going to verify that I'm happy. Okay, so I did that off camera so that I would not put my head inside the shot, but it looks exactly the way I wanted it. So now I'm going to do my thing and get that started. looks good. Okay, let's start this process. Like I said, I'm going to go up to 1 inch, so it's going to take a little while. I'm not going to show you all of that, clearly. But let's get started. Now that the hole is made and it goes right through, the last operation on this end is going to have to be the 8-degree taper, and so I've got to set up for that operation now. Alright, so now I've got to go and bore the 8-degree taper that we see here for the little collet, and the length of this is 1 inch and 62 thousandths, or 26.97 millimeters. So the first thing I need to do is set up a dial indicator and set up my compound feed to do that. Let's do it. Before I start boring, is I need to be able to know for sure that I've gone 1 inch and 62 thousandths deep. So how do you figure that out? Well, quite simply, here's how I'm going to do it. I've put some blue here, and I've set my height gauge to the correct height, and I'm going to put a mark on here. Just a gentle little mark. So when I fit that in there, if I make it to that depth, I'm good to go, and that's enough, all right? That's how I'm going to do it. The question always is, how am I going to set this up to the correct angle? Well, quite simply, here we have these little collets, and they are already at 8 degrees. So all you need to do is take a pin, put it into your tailstock, and go from there. So here what I've got is a Mitutoyo 5/10 indicator, and if I move the compound, there is 0 movement. So that's what I want. I've already calibrated it. So now what I need to do is I've already locked in my compound slide, and I've got to set up a boring bar in here and then get started. So I'm going to be boring until I reached the back end at of 1 inch back here. All right, so let's do it. I'm continuing the setting up for my boring operation. My hole is, my hole is 1 inch in diameter, right? 1 inch. And so I'm using machine steel. So I got my chart up here. Machine steel, 1 inch, 302 RPM. On my South Bend 13, the closest I can come to is 418. That'll work. That's on my 3rd gear, right? On 3rd pulley. So that's what I need to set up now. Deactivate the belt. Voila, I'm on the 3rd. Reactivate the belt. I've got My back gears deactivated. Yeah, check, check, check. We're good to go. All right, let's set up for that. Okay, let's start boring the hole. I'd say I've got about ½ an inch cut into it now. Quick look again. Well worth my while at this point. Is that a good cleaning? Nothing but better than your fingers to do that, of course. All right, but there we are. Let's try that again. Yeah, bang on, right there, I'm done. That's it. So I've reached the appropriate depth, and now the trick is to clean this up a touch, bring the collet, the nut, I should say, make sure everything's nice and clean. Okay, put the collet in, collet's still nice and clean. Ah, beautiful. Down here, absolutely gorgeous. Now, these here are just remembered. You gotta fit these in first. Here we go, like that. And then you put them in. Oh, fantastic. Feels good. This is going to be a nice addition to this shop. Before I declare victory on any front here, I just want to make sure that I measure things out and see what my tolerances are. So I'm going to measure off that undercut to see how concentric things are. Now this is the 5/10 indicator from Intertoyo. So I've gone a full rotation, and at this point I've got tolerances within 2/10 of 1/1000 of an inch. So that's good. Now let's look at other things. Well, I finally came to the bench and put the collet holder on my surface plate. And so far, everything is within, about 8/10 of 1/1000 of an inch. So when it comes to parallelism, anyhow. So checked each side, and I'm pretty satisfied with that. Now, why did I make this? I mean, you can get these pretty cheap, but I mean, for the sake of practicing, it's well worthwhile. And looking at the number of ER collet holders I'm going to require, it would get a little bit expensive. So this is my first one. Clearly, the attempt using that M40 die was not an easy task. I'm gonna have to refine the tailstock holder for my lathe in order to use this thing and get it to cut threads really well. Now, in the meantime, I am developing spur gear in order to cut the millimeters, metric threads. So that's also on the way. But why do I need these? Well, I need them clearly to hold things concentrically in my lathe, to turn various things. So I intend to make an actual chuck that's going to hook onto my spindle. That's one. Two, I intend to make some tool grinding holders for my surface grinder. And I'm going to be using ER32 colors for that. So I'm trying to standardize a whole bunch of stuff. Even for my sign plate that I'm working on. I haven't produced a video for that yet, but I'm working on that. And the screw patterns are all going to match and be interchangeable within, for all of my holders. So if you're going to do this, doing the threads first, pretty important, and then just do the boring. And so this is a pretty cool tool, and these are cheap, so you can buy that. Like the die was what, 17 bucks, whatever, 20 bucks. So honestly, this has cost me nothing. Another interesting fact about this project was that this was the first time I ever used 12L14, and wow, talk about dying going to heaven on this stuff. It's smooth as butter. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Like if you like this thing. Leave me comments by all means. I'm all about learning as a hobbyist. So take care, folks. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.